Sergio Perez has a 2-year contract, but nobody expects him to be in this seat in the 2025 Formula 1 season. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko disagree over who will replace the well-sponsored Mexican. They have quite a few options, but to me, there's only one right choice. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. I read an article from lastwordsonsports.com about how Marko and Horner are locking horns yet again. Yeah, I know. And water is wet. There used to be a time when only Helmut Marko decided on who was in the 4 Red Bull and sister team seats. Unfortunately, since the power struggle and Matashit's death, the power and the goalposts have shifted. It was Helmut Marko who decided to grant Nick de Vries the AlphaTauri seat, and that turned out to be the last call he made on his own. It was Horner who saw the market potential in Daniel Ricciardo, and he obviously hoped to get the popular Australian back to his 2018 version again. It's safe to say that both Red Bull bosses made the wrong choice. But that's easy to say with hindsight. Now, Perez is also in a seat thanks to his market value in North America, and it looks like Horner is someone who finds this very important too. Or maybe the Red Bull bosses behind him think it's important. Money never used to matter, as Red Bull is worth billions. At the time, when they decided to demote Alex Albon to reserve driver, Max Verstappen was asked who he wanted as a teammate, and he said he wanted Nico Hulkenberg. Both are half Dutch and they get along very well. And seeing what he's doing in a Haas, he would have been a better choice, perhaps. In any case, Max said that he wasn't in charge, and Red Bull chose Perez, who was a free agent and a highly regarded midfield driver. Alas, he's still a midfield driver, but not one who's highly regarded anymore. During the wet Brazilian Grand Prix, Checo spun and finished 11th, whereas Verstappen won the race with an exceptional drive. Verstappen scored 31 points that weekend, and Perez scored 1, because he finished 8th in the sprint race a day earlier. Perez took 10 races to get 31 points, and those numbers should be enough to lose your seat in any top team. Red Bull is so unserious. Christian Horner, who's backed Perez all the way, has said a few things about Checo's performance this season. He explained that F1 was a performance-based business, and lately he has said that they will look at the facts before making a decision. In the meantime, Checo's father has said that anyone who believed his son would be let go after the Mexican Grand Prix should apologize. And his son will be world champion someday. Okay, sorry. Horner also held on to Daniel Ricciardo, who, if Helmut Marko was in charge, would have been replaced long before Liam Lawson finally did. Horner insisted that Ricciardo stayed until the Singapore Grand Prix. I do think there are things at play which aren't spoken about out loud, like, for instance, the sponsor incomes of the different drivers. I have an inkling that Checo's big sponsors won't pay up if he doesn't have this 2-year deal in place, or something like that. The Austrian team is famous for kicking drivers out whenever they want to. And now, while the performance is this poor, they don't? I think this is a bad way to go about things, keeping drivers on for the money they bring in. I feel a sports team should prioritize performance, and then the sponsor money will come. Looking at the Demolition Championship, Checo is leading that with over 4 million in damage. Is that really good when you want to sell Kit Kats? I don't think Carlos Slim is blind to this performance, and he also backs Colapinto, I've heard. So now we're at a point where Red Bull is finally about to do something regarding the quality of drivers in their teams. Ricciardo is out, I'll miss him, but it's for the best. And hopefully we'll see another driver in Checo's place at the start of the next season. There are plenty of options. A lot of young drivers are eager to grab that seat. One of them is Yuki Tsunoda, one of the best characters in Formula 1 at the moment. He is so honest and naive, it's adorable. He's come a long way as well, from the kid who hated training and wanted to eat whatever he wanted. The weird thing is that he's not on the Red Bull radar at all. He said in interviews that the seat should go to him because he keeps beating his teammates, but doesn't seem to get anywhere. And he's not wrong. He had a strong drive in Brazil, finishing in 7th place after Piastri had been penalised. The rumours are that his feisty character wouldn't work in the Red Bull main team, and he's not regarded as the right partner for Verstappen. I think they have a point. He's a great driver for an upper midfield team, especially with his Honda backing. He will be in Formula 1 a long time, just not in the Red Bull seat. Another option is a new option. A certain Argentinian is making waves in F1 at the moment. His name is Franco Colapinto. I mentioned him before. With the 2 Williams seats taken by Albon and Sainz, there's no spot for the Logan Sargent replacement. It would be a shame if he was on the sidelines for a year, seeing what he has done on and off track. He brings a bunch of sponsors too, many of them the same as Checo's. That's why Christian Horner wants him in the Red Bull team straight away. From a budget perspective, this seems very logical. One Latin American driver with a lot of backing replaces the other. He has a long-term contract with Williams, but I've heard that this is no problem for Red Bull. They are willing to pay the 20 million to buy him out of his contract. This would be a great deal for Williams too, who want to invest more in the infrastructure. Now, to be completely honest, I don't think it's a good idea to put him in the Red Bull seat straight away. I'd love to see him in the Red Bull group, but in the sister team to get him prepared for the big team. I hope they haven't forgotten about Gasly and Albon, who were thrown in the deep besides Verstappen and were quickly replaced. They were Colapinto's age too at the time. They either should have had the time and help Perez has received, or they should have been at the sister team longer. Now Horner wants to make the same mistake again, to replenish the lost budget through Checo sponsors. I'd say P3 in the constructors, compared to winning it, is a big chunk of money too. So this leaves one option. The only right thing for Red Bull to do is get Liam Lawson the f*** in there. He doesn't seem fazed by it all, as he showed when he did a few races last season. And perhaps he should have had that V-Carb seat from the start of the season. The kid is fast, he's got guts, he's popular and good looking. I'd buy loads of Kit Kats from him. Ha! I'd even buy shampoo if he advertised it. This is also what Helmut Marko wants. A proper Red Bull Junior in a Red Bull seat. If it was up to him, 2 of them in the sister team too. Colapinto can go to Alpine, which would be devastating for Jack Doohan. This is actually a thing behind the scenes. Apparently, Flavio Briatore is keen on signing the popular Argentinian for Alpine, who will also be driving Mercedes engines in the future. Before he sells the lot. Oh wait, scrap that. Alpine just posted a video of Jack Doohan training with the text 2025 in progress. At Red Bull, it looks like the start of 2025 will be a heartache for some drivers. Will it be Perez without a seat? And Tsunoda and Lawson still at V-Carb? Will it be Tsunoda still at V-Carb with Colapinto and Liam Lawson at the Red Bull team? Or will it be Perez at Red Bull and no changes at all? That won't make anyone happy. Subscribing to my channel will make you happy. And me as well. Take care now. Doei doei.